after we created this task content type, let's actually commit our changes to GitHub, and then we'll see a little bit of the rules. So here on GitHub, we'll see that there's a bunch of them. So we're gonna say we created the Strapi project, and we created the task content type. Fantastic. Then we commit and we push. Now, let's have a look at how we can interact with our API. We have an address, which is localhost 1337. So if we go here, localhost 1337, and then we go /API, we can see that we have our endpoint. The server is returning something. It says, hey, somebody asked me for the API route, but without specifying anything else. So I didn't find anything, which is fair. But what if we put in the name of our newly created content type, tasks? Boom, we get a forbidden error, 403. Remember these codes. 404 means I haven't found anything. 403 means I've found something, but you're not allowed to see it. Now, how do we fix this? Well, we have to specify to Strapi that we are allowed as a public user to see what's inside the tasks table. So we go into settings, then roles, and then public, and we'll see that amongst the other things that we've seen earlier, there's a new content type called task. Here we want to say that, hey, finding tasks and finding a single task when I specify an ID is something I want to be able to do as a public user. So now, if I go here, let's create some space, and let's call this again. Boom, I have now a data array, which is empty, and a meta object, which has my pagination, specifying that I want a page 1, page size of 25, page count, and total found, which is 0 obviously, because we don't have any tasks. Let's just create one, just to see what happens. If we go into our content manager, we can create a task, and we can call it, for example, complete crash course. I still got so much to go through. Oof. Right? I have not completed this, and I want to do this by today, before the end of the day. So let's try and do it before midnight. Right? Yeah, 32, 23, 45, whatever. I don't have an owner because I don't have a user. We'll deal with that in a second. But I want to save this. Now, if I go into my tasks, hey, there is a new task here, and I can find it here as well. Look at that. There's a document ID, which is something that gets generated automatically by Strapi, I suppose, for NoSQL databases, I'm assuming, because I've never seen this before. This is your ID, which is your normal SQL ID, title, description, date, blah, 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 and Strapi additionally adds created that, updated that, and published that, which is again new. Document ID and publish that are new. This is how fast the ecosystem goes. I didn't know these things. I've used Strapi for so long and it changes all the time, but it's not a big deal. It's just additional stuff that you can have and probably remove. It doesn't really matter. Now, let's have a look at also how to integrate, like how to test our API from a different point of view. What if I'm here and I want to somehow, right, have a look at what's inside my database? So we're going to do it in two ways. First way is using this called Thunder Client. Thunder Client is something that I highly recommend you install. It is in the extensions, and you can find it here just by typing Thunder Client. There you go, right? Now, if I go into Thunder Client, I can make a new request, and my request can go into HTTP localhost 1337/API/tasks. And if I send this, I have the same here. Look at that. If I want to send tasks-1, tasks is this one. Yeah, if I go into tasks/1, I should be able to get my task. So that's weird, right? Because the ID is 1. For some reason, this doesn't get found. Now this is interesting, because I know that if I go into my settings, roles, public, and task, I can find one. And find one is API/tasks/ID. And the ID is 1. What if I use this? Oh, I hope no. Oh God, that is terrible. Right, so this has changed, and this change I don't love. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, because this allows us to hide our database structure. Right? I can't just randomly say, oh, I want to find task number 3, see who belongs to it, because that would be a security issue. And this security we would have to somehow deal with on the back end by creating custom guards via code, which is something I would go through anyways with explaining this particular course. But it's interesting. So now we don't have IDs in the same way anymore as we did earlier, which is pretty interesting, pretty good. I don't know how to feel about it. Obviously, I feel a bit conflicted right now because I have to explain it. I wonder if there's a way to change that. Well, we work on the bleeding edge, so I suppose we're not going to change that at all. We're just going to deal with the fact that our IDs are going to look like this, which is our document ID instead of our ID, which is very confusing. Oof, I really don't love it, but we're going to go with it regardless. We'll just have to remember that our ID is not called ID, it's just called document ID, which is why I hate these things. I'm really unhappy about this. Whatever, right? So let's go and find our tasks using code. First thing we're going to have to do is we're going to create a new terminal window here with the command T, or by right-clicking and going new terminal window, or by window like shell new window, blah blah blah. Doesn't matter. The bottom line is we want to go back. We're going to go into our tests, and in here I have my package.json. And package.json, let me just go and move this. My package.json in the tests has all the dependencies of the stuff that I want to install here. For now, there isn't anything, but let's install, by using npm, a library called Axios. Now, Axios is our, I have here, there you go. Axios is a HTTP client for Node.js. You can use the fetch API, you can use whatever you want. I use Axios, so you're going to have to use Axios if you want to follow along. And we're just going to install it like this, right? So in here we go npm I for install minus capital S for save Axios. Now that we have Axios, we can use it in here. Now, I want to use Axios to fetch the stuff that I have inside of my API, and then to display it, I'm just going to console log whatever I get as a response. This is going to introduce us to a very, very important part of programming when it comes to dealing with APIs and requests and stuff like that, which is asynchronous programming. I'm going to go a bit more in depth in the next section on it, but for now, I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So here we're going to create a new function, which is our fetch tasks function, which is going to be asynchronous function. And in here, we're just going to go and request this. So we're going to go const response equals await axios.get, and we're going to get this. And then we're going to console log response.data. That's it. And then we call fetch tasks. Obviously, we don't have Axios, so before we do this, we need to import Axios. Const Axios equal require Axios. Now we're using require here instead of import, and this is something that's gonna change depending on whether or not your project is a module. But inside of Strapi, we don't have the module syntax of ECMAScript 6. We have the normal common JS, so we use require. Instead, inside of React, which is using Node as a module, we're going to be using import. It doesn't import. It doesn't like matter too much to know the difference. There isn't much of a difference between the two. What you need to know is that you can always use import inside of modules, and this is not a module. This is just normal Node.js. So let's actively run this and say clear node dot boom. There you go. It was that. It's a problem with my machine. So I will avoid all the troubleshooting. So I just say, right, since I've gone and tried with localhost and 127.0.0.1 and they both don't work, and I went and changed as well the configuration for Strapi, none of that worked. I am actually gonna have to use my IPv4 address on my network card. I don't know why this happens, but it's happening, and it's a problem that I have and you're not gonna have. So, and I just cut out that part because it was a lot of troubleshooting and it doesn't actually do anything. So now we're able to get our stuff, our data here, which is fantastic. In the next step, we're gonna have a little bit of a dip into asynchronous programming, and then we are going to go and, well, basically write a custom route for our users so that they can go and get their own tasks. Because if we don't do that, what's gonna happen is that a user requests tasks and they'll get all the tasks, not just those that belong to them. So we're gonna go and fix that by creating a custom override for our route tasks controller. I'll see you in the next step.